Hello there, welcome to another Cloud with Chris weekly vlog. You're with me, Chris Reddington, and here we talk about all things cloud. Now thank you folks for joining. This is weekly vlog number 41, so thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all keeping safe and well, and it is the 10th of October, so we're well into doing these weekly vlogs now, number 41. It's hard to believe we're rapidly approaching doing a whole year of these, but it's been really enjoyable, and I'm gonna obviously keep the momentum going with these if you equally find these enjoyable as well. So if you do, drop a like down below, please. Hit subscribe, you know the deal. Show your love, show your support, because it's greatly appreciated and helps keeping that momentum going. So a couple of quick announcements before we just kick off here with the usual deal with the Azure blogs, the Azure updates, the Azure DevOps blog, the Github blog, the Cloud with Chris stuff as well. Is number one, you can probably see just down here. There we go. Had to get my back to front mirroring the right way, but here we go. Down below, you can see that the South Coast Summit is coming up later this week. So the actual summit itself, I believe, starts on the 16th of October, but I believe there's some workshops on the 15th then as well. It's going to be a great event. I'm going to be speaking there. I've got a slot at noon talking about static web apps. I had a Twitter thread going with a few folks who are equally going to be speaking there as well. Some brilliant faces there, plenty of faces, quite frankly, that I've interacted with online. Haven't had the chance to meet up yet in person, so I'm really looking forward to that event, getting to see some names and faces that I've been interacting with for so long, but in the real world. So it's going to be exciting. So if you want to go along to that, it is going to be an in-person event, completely free. Go ahead to southcoastsummit.com. and you can go ahead, you can register for the event there, so don't miss out. You know, if you're feeling up to it, you're feeling ready to go to an in-person event, you're comfortable with that, absolutely get yourself over to Southampton on the 16th of October. And with that, another update that I just wanted to make sure that we had some time to talk about here on the channel as well is mental health. Of course, mental health is something which has been a regular topic on the channel here as well. And today is Mental Health Awareness Day across the world. So some of you may know that, some of you may not. I haven't seen as much talk about it as in previous years. Maybe, excuse me, maybe it's just because it's something that, you know, I've seen happen many years now. The kind of big effort that goes into the day and making sure that people are aware of mental health and the challenges and some of the stigmas that surround it. But equally, just want to make sure we spend a few moments here because it's a really important topic. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and browse across here to a thread that I started over on Twitter. So I'm just going to bring that up here. So today is Mental Health, World Mental Health Day, and it's important that we all look after each other, that we all be kind, that we all just take a few moments to check in on ourselves, on our friends, on our family. Are we okay? Are you okay? Just takes a few words to ask that. And I've been open about my mental health in the past. You all know that I had some of my own challenges last year. I've had challenges previously to that as well. And actually over the last few weeks, I have noticed that I've again been kind of going into a place where my mental health is not the best it could be. Just little things that I know are my triggers, how I deal with my anxiety and my stress and those kind of situations that place me in that, and I'm not in the place where I want to be with that right now. And it's hard sometimes to recognize that. For me, I'm finding it easier to recognize those triggers, recognize those times, and being able to understand I'm not okay. But recognizing it doesn't make it easier to acknowledge the fact you're not okay. And it can be really hard sometimes to do that. So it is okay to not be okay. And I really want to start off with this because something I'm really conscious of, I guess now I can call myself a YouTuber, I suppose, with the following I've got on the channel, with everything I'm doing in Cloud with Chris. Sometimes you're painted in one light, and sometimes you're only seeing one side of the coin. And equally, I'm someone who's passionate about making sure mental health is not being seen for, through that kind of stigma that it has. That it is something normal, that it is something people go through, it is something I've been through several times, and I want you to know that it's something that I'm struggling with again, and that's okay. It's one of those things, unfortunately for me, but I'm doing the things that I need to do to get the help, to make sure that I can get better, and to make sure that I look after myself. And I'm thankful that I have a lot of great people that I can talk to, both in terms of friends, with family, various channels and support and things that I'm able to get access to as well. I'm very fortunate in that sense, but not everyone is that fortunate. And there are a couple of things that I just want to make sure that people are aware of. First of all is mentalhealth.org.uk. There's some great resources, publications and advice up there. But also Mind as well. Mind's are a charity that do a lot of work helping people with their own mental health challenges. And I just want to call both of those out because I know what it's like when you're in those challenging situations. You don't quite know what to do. You don't quite want to talk to anyone. You don't even quite know if anything is wrong. And it's okay. Just know there are people there to talk. And I'm always here if anyone wants to talk. But sometimes you do need to go through the right channels. You need to get the help that is needed. And that is completely okay. We wouldn't be having the same discussion if it was about, dislocating your arm or something like that, or your shoulder, or whatever it may be. There's still this stigma around mental health, and it is absolutely okay to get the needed help. And that is a tone I just wanted to open up the show with here today. Just, again, showing this other side that I'm incredibly passionate about, that it's okay to not be okay, and that there is another side of what you see of me on the channel as well. And it is one of those times I'm going through challenges right now, and that's okay. It's one of those things. So now we've got that out the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the Azure blogs and the Azure updates here for this week. So first off, we're going to be just looking back over the last week of what's gone on in the Azure blogs here. So the first one that we've got is Microsoft being named a leader in the 2021 Gartner Magic Quadrant for data integration tools. So I guess when they talk about data integration, they're thinking about things like probably Synapse Analytics and Data Factory, I suspect, is what it looks like over here. And as you can see here, Microsoft are a leader in that quadrant. So excellent work there, and congratulations to the team for the recognition around that. The wait brackets list is over. Azure Netapp Files is enterprise ready in your Azure portal. So they announced the general availability of Azure Netapp Files in May 2019. And since then, the team have worked with customers to successfully migrate and run some of their most important production workloads, and today they are announcing the removal of the waiting list for the service. So it's now available just directly through the portal. No waiting list required anymore. You can just go straight into the Azure portal, go and get that set up there. They talk about some stories as well. Walgreens, Boots Alliance, Ferguson Enterprises, Repsol and Kona. Coca-Cola North America is that last one there. Talking about the usage of Azure Netapp Files there as well. So again, if that's a journey you're on and you're looking to get started, great news. That's now available in the portal. There's some great case studies and use cases there on the blog post for you to go and take a look at. New Azure VMware solution updates and global expansion drives customer success. This one, I guess the clue is in the name, talking about some updates to Azure VMware solution, talks about some various customer stories there and some quotes and testimonies there, talks about the global expansion now being available in 17 Azure regions, and then talks about some of the platform enhancements that are available there as well. So VMware HCX Enterprise Edition is now GA on Azure VMware solution. VMware Site Recovery Manager is now GA. VMware HCX over SD-WAN is now supported. And VMware vRealize Suite is now available. And then they talk about some of the seamless Azure experience as well, being able to use the run commands, for example, placement policies for Azure VMware Solution, Azure Disk Pools for Azure VMware Solution, and NFS data stores on Azure Netapp files, and then partner ecosystem as well, Citrix VDI on Azure VMware Solution and Jetstream DR for Azure VMware Solution. So lots of great pieces to unpack in that. As you probably know from previous discussions, this is absolutely not my specialty area, but I can appreciate a lot of the announcements here. So again, kudos to the team for the work behind all of this. And for anyone who is interested in this space, take a look at that blog post that came out this week, because there is a lot of great detail in there for you. And then another great update here is once again, Microsoft have been announced as a leader in the 2021 Magic Quadrant for Enterprise Integration Platform as a Service. So this is in recognition for things like Logic Apps, API Management, Service Bus, Event Grid, and Data Factory is in this one. So apologies, I misspoke on the earlier one. That was just Synapse Analytics, I believe, whereas this one recognizes the work for Data Factory here. So really the wider Azure Integration Services story, and talking about all of that, the pricing options, the customer momentum, as mentioned on this blog post here as well. So again, if you're interested in getting started on the integration platform side of things, there is a great blog post there for all of that for you. So there we go. That is the Azure blogs for the week. So we'll now start jumping through the Azure updates for the week. So we have got a full page this week, so we're going to start just diving through these. So starting from the 4th of October, general availability, announcing the release of Swiss German dialect speech recognition support. Azure Maps geolocation service is now generally available. General availability, Azure DevOps September 2021 updates. That includes improved tenant switch requests reliability, emphasize tags and delivery plan using colors, filter cards based on Boolean field types and delivery plans, work item title always visible in delivery plan cards, show light green color dependency icon for work items that are dependencies with no issues. There are tons here. I'm not going to be able to say all of these, but a ton of updates relating to Azure pipelines, several updates relating to Azure repos as well. So go ahead and check those out on the Azure updates page. Azure Stream Analytics, there are now 2 new regions now generally available, and those 2 new regions are China East 2 and China North 2. Azure VMware Solution is now available in Brazil Southeast and East US 2 regions. HCX Enterprise Edition is now GA for Azure VMware Solution, as we mentioned a bit earlier. Likewise, Azure Netapp Files data stores for Azure VMware Solutions is coming soon. Public preview of Azure Netapp Files backup capability is, as it says, in public preview. General availability, Azure Netapp Files waitlist removal. Azure Security Center public preview updates for September 2021. That includes 2 new recommendations to audit OS configurations for Azure Security Baseline Compliance. Azure Applied AI Services, the latest public preview enhancements to Azure Form Recognizer. Korea Central now has availability zones as generally available. South Africa North now has availability zones as generally available as well. Windows 11 is now generally available on Azure Virtual Desktop. Azure Functions Python 3.9 is now supported. Oh, let me rephrase that. Python 3.9 is now supported on Azure Functions, generally available. Azure Sphere version 21.10 is expected on October the 20th. A reminder that Azure Service Management API for messaging services will be retired on the 1st of November 2021, so you need to transition to Azure Resource Manager by the 1st of November 2021. Public preview, standard network features for Azure Netapp files. General availability, Azure Monitor Container Insights Portal Experience update. And public preview, dynamic concurrency in Azure Functions. That feature allows you to automatically determine optimal per trigger concurrency settings for your workloads. And it says, in addition, dynamic concurrency can improve the performance of your applications by optimizing the throughputs for each instance and make real-time adjustments to your concurrency settings as your load pattern changes over time. The preview currently supports service bus triggers. If you encounter any issues or have feedback, please file an issue on the GitHub repo. So that one sounds quite interesting there. Haven't had a chance to dig into that one just yet, but I will hopefully get a chance to do so a bit later on. Okay. So next up then, we're going to take a look at the Azure DevOps blog. And the first up is an Azure Fun Bytes episode. Improve your open source security with White Source Soft. So this is between Lena Kleiner and Reese Arkins, talking about white source software overall, looking first starting about detection, prioritization and remediation, looking at open source security, demoing white source and Azure DevOps together, what the open source risk report is, talking about the free plugin, and overall where you can get value from that. So another great blog post which dovetails into that Azure Fun Bytes episode, of course. Next up is the Azure Boards Fall update. So there has been a busy start to the fall update in terms of the Delivery Plan 2.0, extension support and copy dashboard. So for copy dashboard, they're finalizing the second phase of copy dashboard where configuration and queries are carried over with the copy operation. Separate announcement will be posted in the next week or so when it's available for public preview. And then there's delivery plans improvements mentioned there. I think we covered those in the Azure updates a bit earlier. And then there's also a note in this blog post how the team are partnering with Solidify AB, who have extensive experience with Azure DevOps extensions, and they're going to be supporting the Azure Boards Kanban tool, the Azure DevOps extension tasks, branch visualization, color pick list control, countdown widget, offline test execution, Terraform, test case explorer, work item details, weighted shortest job, work item visualization, multi-value control, split, and estimates planning poker for Azure Boards. So those are going to be getting some maintenance from the Solidify AB team there. What else have we got? We have got an additional round of community updates. So on the 21st of October, there is the Create DevOps event. It's got some great speakers there. Stephen Morosky, Jay Gordon, Martin Woodward, April Edwards, and April is going to be speaking at the South Coast Summit next week. So again, come along and join us. Donovan Brown, Kat Cosgrove, Quintessence Sanks, Alex Hidalgo, and Marcus Felling. So you don't want to miss that. So make sure you take a look at the Azure DevOps blog for all the details that you're looking for, or aka.ms/create-devops. In terms of the community contributions here, we have got a mix. So reuse your workflows across multiple projects with GitHub Actions. That is from Damien Ike. How to service hooks mapping on Azure DevOps from Vinicius Mora. Video, what is a Git merge conflict from Cameron McKenzie. Azure DevOps managed identity for automation tests from Dylan Morley. Azure DevOps with pipeline for Azure Storage Monkey repo, Tobias Alman. DevOps Masterclass Part 8 Monitoring and Feedback from John Saville. SQL MD CLI from Sergio Gavoni. Azure DevOps Connect to Azure Cloud using Service Principal for Janal Kumar Patel. And that is it. That is a great mix. We've got, this SQL Command CLI. We've got the Azure DevOps Connect using service principles. We've got managed identity. We've got about Git merges, service hooks, GitHub Actions. There is a great mix in there. So go ahead, check out those latest community updates. Next up, the GitHub blog. So what's gone on this week? There has been a new public beta of GitHub releases, and they talk about how they are improving the release experience. So they talk about the auto-generated release notes there. They talk about the complete UI refresh for releases as well, and the paper cuts and small improvements like the tag selector has been updated. Markdown Editor now has an editor toolbar, reacting to GitHub releases to show support, release support comments. Tags no longer show in the release list view. Videos in release are now playable, and discussion linking as well. Lots and lots of great updates there. 13 tiny and terrific entries from the JS13K Games competition. GitHub availability report September 2021. They experienced no incidents to the core services during that time, so great job, GitHub engineering team. The GitHub advisory database now powers NPM audits. That is a blog post from Ed Thompson. And this talks all about integrating NPM security systems, the GitHub advisory database, and some of the additions and what that means there. So go ahead and check that out if NPM is of interest to you there. GitHub's guide to Hacktoberfest 2021. So of course we are in October, which means we are in Hacktoberfest. So if you've wanted to get started contributing to open source, maybe you're new to it, check out this blog. There'll be some great tips in here on how you can get started with your first pull request, your first issue, your first code contribution, whatever it is, however you want to get involved and contribute, whether it's an idea, whether it's cutting code, there will be something for you. And there are some great tips here on projects that may be great to get started, issues that may be great, blog posts on how to get started, some tips and tricks, etc. So absolutely take a look at that Hacktoberfest blog. And then finally, the Release Radar September 2021 edition. So that includes Roe 2.0, Tweepy 4.0, Dash 2.0, Scikit 1.0, PyG 2.0, MUI 5.0, Calcom 1.0, GitHub VS Code Themes 5.0, Prettier VS Code 9.0, Monitor Control 3.0, Q1K3 are all in the September release radar. So a great mix there, from games to monitor control to VS Code extensions or Prettier, for example, to scheduling, to visualization, and all in between there as well. So some great community projects called out there. So again, lots of things that can benefit you in the open source world there. Now, in terms of the latest Cloud with Chris goings on this week, it has been a quiet week. I have mentioned over on that Twitter thread that you may see a bit of a slowdown on things where I'm taking this time to focus on me. I'm taking this time to focus on my mental health. I'll be honest, the energy enthusiasm has kind of tapered back a bit on doing a bit of this, which was one of the indicators for me that something is not quite right, because this brings me a ton of energy, a ton of enthusiasm, and I love doing this type of work and helping the community. But there has still been work going on. So obviously last Sunday we did a bit of a Sea of Themes stream. I know that the podcast recording is not up yet. It will go up. Apologies for the delay on that one, but that will come. On Friday, or rather, let's actually go to Wednesday first, I should say. There was a great episode with my good friend and colleague Labrina Loving, where we talk all about Azure for game developers. And we talk about Labrina's experience going from enterprise game developer into the advocacy role, the game advocacy role that she currently holds in Microsoft. And it's great to hear her experiences, the battle scars, if you like, working with some workloads in production, certain frameworks, etc. there as well. But now focusing on the gaming space and some of her observations as moving into that space there. So really interesting. We talk a bit about Azure PlayFab as well, how it helps accelerate that journey of building these kind of cloud-based games as well. So definitely check that session out there. And then on Friday, I wrote a blog post all about using Azure DevOps and Azure Virtual Machine scale set agents to deploy your private workloads. So based off some conversations I've been having recently about how self-hosted agents work, what are they, some of the things you need to consider about self-hosted agents, because they are running on machines you own, so you need to control the dependencies and think about those dependencies like .NET Core, Azure CLI, node versions, anything that you may be running in your CI/CD pipelines. But I also then talk about something which I haven't really kept my finger on the pulse, is Azure Virtual Machine Scale Set agents, which are truly awesome, actually. A way to spin up your virtual machines scale sets, but then integrate that scale set with Azure DevOps, so Azure DevOps can go and manage the scaling out and in of those instances, so that you have the required number of agents that are needed. Really, really interesting. If you've got a requirement for deploying to private workloads, like an app service behind a private endpoint, for example, a virtual machine that only has a private IP address, for example, whether that's maybe a on-premises network that is peered in some way to your virtual networks in Azure, or whether that's private networks in Azure as well. Maybe Azure Virtual Machine Scale Sets agents are something for you to consider. Take a look at the blog post. Hopefully it will help you out there. And then something I want to call out, we've already talked about it, but I'm going to call it out again, is the South Coast Summit coming up this Saturday. I'm so excited for my next in-person talk here at the South Coast Summit. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to meeting lots of names and faces. So please do go ahead. Go sign up if you haven't already and you feel comfortable and you're free and you think, you know what, I want to go and check out the South Coast Summit. Please do go ahead and do that. And with that, folks, I think that covers us nicely for today's session. So you know the deal. If you've liked this session, please hit the like button, please hit subscribe, please hit the notification bell. Show your love whichever platform you're on. Whether you want to engage over on the GitHub discussions on the GitHub repository, whether you want to go and like the podcast on Spotify, for example, or provide some feedback on Apple Podcasts, please do go ahead and show your love. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, but more importantly, and most importantly, please look after yourselves. Please be kind. Please check in on one another. And just, as I say, look after yourselves. So as always, thanks for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. And until the next one, bye for now.